Welcome to the untamed depths. Tonight, we journey into one of the most mysterious and alive places on Earth, the Amazon rainforest. Vast, untamed, and largely unexplored, the Amazon canopy hides secrets that have fascinated scientists, explorers, and storytellers for centuries. Beneath the thick green roof of leaves, life thrives in forms both familiar and utterly strange, and every step or every swing through the vines could reveal wonders or dangers you might never have imagined. As night falls, the forest doesn't sleep. The calls of hidden creatures echo through the undergrowth. Insects hum with an almost hypnotic rhythm, and the scent of damp earth mixes with the heady aroma of blooming flowers and unseen life. Rivers twist like silver snakes through dense vegetation, and in their waters, predators wait quietly. Overhead, birds of vivid color flash between branches, while spiders, snakes, and insects move in ways too quick, too subtle for the untrained eye. Tonight, you won't just be observing the Amazon, you'll feel it. You'll all sense the heartbeat of this living world, as if you were walking among the towering trees yourself, listening to the stories whispered by the wind and the rustle of leaves. We'll uncover hidden ecosystems, creatures rarely seen by human eyes, and the intricate web of life that has survived here for millennia, despite countless threats from the outside world. So, find your most comfortable position. Let the gentle sounds of the forest fill your senses, and let us guide you through the shadowed corridors of the Amazon canopy. Wherever you're watching from, and whatever time it is there, tonight, the rainforest is alive, and you are about to experience its secrets. Beneath the sunlit sky of South America lies a world so vast, so unrelenting in its depth and density, that even the most daring explorers have only brushed against its surface. This world is the Amazon rainforest, an ocean of green that stretches further than the eye can imagine, rolling across more than 5.5 million square kilometers. To step into it is to step into a universe all its own, one where the very air feels alive, where shadows hold secrets, and where every breath is thick with moisture and mystery. Close your eyes and picture it. A horizon not of mountains or oceans, but of forest, endless rolling forest. A sea of treetops, green upon green, layered so thickly that sunlight struggles to reach the ground below. The air is warm, heavy with humidity, wrapping around you like a damp cloak. Every inhale carries the scent of earth, of leaves crushed underfoot, of water lingering in the air after a storm. This is not a place designed for human comfort. It is a living labyrinth, woven from branches, vines, and rivers, and yet it pulses with an irresistible pull. The Amazon is not simply a forest. It is the largest and most diverse ecosystem on our planet. More species of plants and animals live here than anywhere else on Earth. Scientists believe that in these endless green corridors, there may still be millions of undiscovered organisms, waiting quietly in the shadows. Plants that could heal insects that could, puzzle animals that might reshape what we think we know about life itself. And yet, despite centuries of curiosity and exploration, the Amazon continues to resist full understanding. It is too vast, too wild, too complex. It guards its secrets behind curtains of vines, in flooded swamps, in high branches where the ground is but a distant thought. To enter the Amazon is to leave behind the familiar rhythm of ordinary life. Here, time bends. The days are long and heavy with heat, the nights alive with sounds that stir both wonder and unease. The forest does not sleep. At dusk, when the sun dips low and orange light filters through the canopy, the jungle awakens in a new way. Insects rise in a chorus that hums and vibrates. Frogs croak from hidden pools, and unseen wings beat the air above. The calls of howler monkeys roll across the treetops, deep and echoing like the growl of some unseen giant. To listen is to realize that you are never alone, not here. The canopy itself is a world apart. 60 meters above the forest floor, branches stretch outward in vast green bridges, woven with lianas and crowned with orchids. This upper layer is bathed in sunlight, alive with butterflies, parrots, and monkeys leaping from branch to branch. But below, the ground is a dim underworld. Little light breaks through. Roots twist and curl across the soil. Fungi bloom on fallen logs, and every shadow might conceal something unknown. It feels at times like standing inside a cathedral built not by human hands, but by the slow work of nature across millennia. The rainforest earns its name from the storms that sweep across it. Rain does not simply fall here. It comes in sheets, pounding against leaves so wide they resemble umbrellas, drumming onto rivers and flooding paths within minutes. The sound of rainfall is constant, echoing like 1,000 hands striking drums in unison. And when the storms pass, the forest breathes in relief. Mist rising from the canopy, steam curling upward as if the earth itself exhales. The cycle of water is unbroken. It rains, it soaks, it evaporates, and then it rains again. The Amazon feeds itself, a living engine of moisture that shapes the weather not just of South America, but of the entire planet. Yet for all its beauty, the Amazon is also a place of challenge. For early explorers, the forest was as much a prison as a paradise. Trails vanished into swamps, rivers twisted endlessly, and insects carried fever and disease. Stories spread of people lost forever in its depths, swallowed by the green abyss. Even today, the jungle remains unforgiving. A single step in the wrong direction can lead to disorientation. Landmarks disappear. Sound plays tricks, echoing in strange directions. What seems like a short walk may stretch into hours of confusion. But within this labyrinth lies wonder. Hidden in the roots of ancient trees are ants that cut leaves with soldier-like precision, carrying their harvest in endless columns back to underground chambers. Brightly colored frogs no larger than a fingernail cling to bark, their vivid skins warning of toxins strong enough to paralyze predators. Jaguars slip silently through the shadows, their golden eyes glinting in the gloom. The Amazon is not empty space. It is alive with stories, every creature a thread in the great tapestry of life. For the indigenous peoples who call the forest home, the Amazon is not a wilderness to be conquered, but a living relative, a giver of food, medicine, and meaning. They navigate its rivers as highways, read the rustle of leaves as messages, and pass down knowledge of plants that heal and plants that harm. Their lives are proof that the forest, while daunting to outsiders, has always been a place of belonging to those who understand its rhythms. And then there are the rivers, vast, winding arteries that cut through the green. Chief among them, the Amazon River, a titan among waterways. At its mouth, where it meets the Atlantic Ocean, it is so wide that you cannot see the opposite bank. Fresh water pours outward in volumes so massive that it changes the color of the sea from miles offshore. The river is the forest's lifeblood, carrying nutrients, carving paths, and shaping lives along its edges. From the smallest fish to the pink river dolphins, from villages perched on stilts to hidden lagoons where caimans wait, the river is both a giver and a taker. To travel upon it is to sense the heartbeat of the forest itself. What makes the Amazon so mysterious, even today, is not just its scale, but its secrecy. Satellites can map the canopy from above. Drones can skim across treetops. Yet so much remains unseen beneath the leaves. There are still valleys where no scientist has walked, caves that swallow rivers whole, and stretches of jungle where the only human footprints belong to tribes that have chosen to remain isolated from the outside world. For every creature catalogued, there are countless others unseen. For every tree studied, another stands in silence, waiting to be discovered. Standing at the edge of this abyss, one cannot help but feel small. To look upon the Amazon is to face nature in its most raw and unapologetic form. It humbles, it overwhelms, and it invites. It whispers of danger, yes, but also of endless possibility. What secrets lie hidden beneath those layers of green? What voices echo in the shadows of its trees? What stories have yet to be told by its rivers, its storms, its creatures? As you breathe in this vision of the rainforest, let your mind drift. Imagine the rustle of unseen wings, the distant rumble of thunder, the wet soil beneath your feet. The Amazon does not rush. It moves slowly, patiently, in cycles older than human memory. And here, at the threshold of its depths, we take our first step into that world. A world where every moment holds mystery, where every sound is a clue, and where secrets sleep beneath the canopy, waiting for the brave, the curious, and the patient to uncover them. The journey into the green abyss has only just begun. When you first imagine the Amazon rainforest, the image that often comes to mind is not of the forest floor, nor even of the winding rivers that snake their way through its heart. Instead, it is of the mighty trees that rise like living pillars, their crowns stretching high above, forming a green cathedral roof that seems to touch the sky. These trees are more than just plants. They are the architecture of the forest itself, the grand structure upon which nearly every other life form depends. They are, in every sense of the word, giants. Standing beneath them, you might feel a strange mixture of awe and smallness. Their trunks, wider than a car is long, rise unbroken for stories upon stories before finally branching out into vast canopies. Some of these trees, like the kapok and the Brazil nut, can reach over 200 feet in height. From below, their crowns seem to blend into one continuous ceiling, filtering sunlight into soft, shifting patterns that paint the forest floor in shades of gold and shadow. Without them, the Amazon would be a very different place, perhaps not a rainforest at all. These giants are ancient. Many have stood for centuries, weathering storms, floods, and the slow but constant march of time. Some are older than entire civilizations. They have seen generations of animals come and go, tribes move through their shadows, explorers stumble into their depths. To touch the bark of one of these towering trees is to lay your hand upon living history. But their importance is not only symbolic. These trees are the lungs of the forest and of the earth. Through photosynthesis, they breathe in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, producing a staggering amount of the air we humans depend upon. They stabilize the soil with their massive roots, preventing erosion during the torrential rains. They draw up water from the ground and release it back into the air as vapor, creating the very clouds that later return as rain. Without this cycle, the Amazon's climate, and indeed, the climate of the world, would collapse. Now imagine the life that flourishes within their branches. Each canopy tree is not just a single organism but a world unto itself. Orchids nestle in the crooks of their branches, their delicate flowers adding splashes of color to the endless green. Bromeliads collect rainwater in their leaf cups, forming miniature ponds that serve as homes for frogs, insects, and even tiny crabs. Vines wind their way upward, using the trees as ladders to reach the light. Ants march in unbroken lines along the bark, guarding their colonies hidden within crevices. And high in the leaves, monkeys swing from branch to branch, rarely descending to the ground, their entire lives lived in the treetop highways. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Amazon canopy is how it creates levels of life. On the forest floor, it is dim, quiet, almost still. Only about 2% of the sunlight makes it down there, leaving the ground in perpetual twilight. But above, in the canopy, it is a bustling metropolis of activity, bathed in bright, unfiltered sun. Birds flash their feathers in dazzling colors. Butterflies the size of dinner plates drift between blossoms. Sloths cling to branches, moving so slowly they are often mistaken for part of the tree itself. Insects swarm and hum, a never-ending chorus of buzzing life. The trees also connect the forest together in surprising ways. Beneath the soil lies a hidden network of fungal threads known as mycorrhizae. These fungi form symbiotic relationships with the trees, attaching to their roots and allowing them to exchange nutrients. Through this wood wide web, as scientists sometimes call it, trees can share resources. A tree in full sun may send sugars to one struggling in shade. In times of drought, they can distribute water. In a sense, the giants are not individuals, but a community, each connected to the others through unseen threads beneath the earth. And while they provide for each other, they also provide for humanity. Many of the foods and medicines we use around the world have their origins in the Amazon's towering trees. The Brazil nut tree produces nuts that are not only delicious, but also critical for local economies. The rubber tree gave rise to an entire industry that reshaped the world in the 19th century. Other trees contain compounds that have been used in treatments for diseases ranging from malaria to cancer. Each giant, therefore, holds secrets that could change human lives far beyond the forest's edge. But perhaps the most humbling part of these giants is their fragility. For all their size and apparent strength, they are deeply vulnerable. A single chainsaw can bring down a tree that has stood for centuries. Deforestation clears thousands of them each day, their trunks cut into timber or their land burned for agriculture. When one giant falls, it is not just a tree that is lost, it is an entire ecosystem. The orchids dry up, the bromeliads spill out their pools, the monkeys lose their pathways, and the soil begins to erode. The collapse of a single canopy tree ripples through the entire web of life. And yet, standing among them, there is a sense of timeless endurance. The forest whispers that it has survived for millions of years, through ice ages and droughts, through fires and floods. The giants have fallen before, and new ones have always risen to take their place. They are reminders that life, given even the smallest chance, will climb again toward the light. As you picture the canopy, try to imagine yourself there. You are standing on the forest floor, the air thick and damp, heavy with the smell of earth and leaf. Above you, columns of trees rise like the pillars of a forgotten temple. Their trunks are rough under your hand, scarred with age. When you look up, you cannot see the sky, only the interlocking crowns high above, swaying gently in the wind. A shaft of sunlight breaks through for a moment, spotlighting a cluster of orchids in bloom. Somewhere overhead, a bird calls, its song echoing through the vast green cathedral. You realize that these giants are not just trees. They are guardians, ancient keepers of a world still largely unknown. And as we continue our journey into the heart of the Amazon, we carry this knowledge with us, that the towering giants are more than scenery. They are the very foundation upon which all else rests. Without them, there would be no canopy, no rainforest, no endless diversity of life. They are both the roof and the heart of this green abyss, silent yet ever present, watching as the mysteries of the Amazon unfold beneath their leaves. Imagine pausing beneath the immense roof of trees, the kind that seem to stretch endlessly upward until they dissolve into a ceiling of shifting green light. The air is thick with moisture, carrying the scent of damp wood, wild blossoms, and the faint musk of soil that has been alive for thousands of years. To wander into the Amazon is to step into a living cathedral, one not built by human hands, but by nature's unyielding patience. Yet this cathedral is not uniform. Its life is not flat and spread across a single stage. Instead, the rainforest rises like a multi-storied palace, layer upon layer, each one harboring unique creatures, plants and secrets, hidden in plain sight above or below our heads. The life of the Amazon is arranged in vertical tiers, as if the forest itself had chosen to build neighborhoods stacked one atop the other. To understand this world, one cannot merely stand in one place and look around at eye level. One must imagine peeling back the rainforest like layers of fabric, revealing an entirely different community in each fold. This is not just a forest, it is four distinct realms bound together. The forest floor, the understory, the canopy, and the emergent layer that towers above all. Each is its own miniature world, yet no part can exist without the others. begin at the ground, where little sunlight ever reaches. The forest floor is a place of shadows, hushed and damp, where the scent of decay is strongest. Here, things rot as quickly as they grow, for the heat and humidity are nature's engine. Breaking down fallen leaves, fruit, and animal remains into nutrients almost overnight. The soil, surprisingly, is thin and poor, far less fertile than one might expect. The lush green all around does not come from rich earth, but from this endless recycling. What dies above is reborn below, feeding the roots of towering trees. It is a place of quiet industry, where fungi lace themselves through roots and unseen networks of mycelium help trees share resources, almost like a secret underground communication system. Life on the forest floor is slow, deliberate, and cautious. It is here that the jaguar pads silently across the leaf litter, a phantom of golden fur and shadow. Tapirs shuffle heavily, chewing on fallen fruit, while armies of leafcutter ants march tirelessly, carrying green fragments larger than their own bodies back to underground chambers. Sloths, though mostly arboreal, sometimes descend here to relieve themselves, a dangerous task, for predators wait. The floor is not for abundance, but for the rare and the hidden. Sunlight struggles to reach it, so plants that live here adapt with broad leaves to drink in every fragment of light. Even so, compared to the layers above, the floor is sparse, more like a corridor than a garden. Climb a little higher, into the understory, and the atmosphere changes. This is the twilight of the forest, dim but warmer, where vines twist and drape themselves like ropes across branches. It feels closer, tighter, the air thick with the calls of insects and the occasional rustle of wings. Here dwell some of the Amazon's most secretive creatures: snakes draped along limbs, silent frogs flashing colors of poison, and birds with feathers designed for shadows rather than light. Butterflies drift through, their wings flickering like scattered jewels in the gloom. The understory is also the realm of ambush. Predators linger here, waiting for prey that dares to cross from the floor to the canopy. It is not uncommon for harpy eagles, the apex hunters of the sky, to swoop down, their massive talons ready to carry off monkeys or sloths. Unlike the open ground below, this layer feels alive with unseen eyes, every shadow perhaps belonging to something watching, waiting. And then, rising still higher, you break into the canopy itself, the bustling heart of the rainforest. This is the great green ceiling, where branches of towering trees knit together so tightly they create a nearly solid roof. Up here, life explodes in abundance. 80% of all rainforest creatures live in this layer, making it the true metropolis of the Amazon. Monkeys leap from limb to limb, their calls echoing across the treetops. Scarlet macaws streak like painted fire through the branches, while toucans, with their oversized beaks, probe for fruit. Insects crawl, buzz, and hum in every corner. Orchids bloom from high perches, thriving in the sunlight that never reaches the forest floor. The canopy is a world of competition plants, fighting for light, animals for food, and all of them for survival. Epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants, clutch at branches without ever touching the ground, using trees as scaffolding. Bromeliads collect water in their cup-shaped leaves, forming miniature ponds where frogs lay eggs and insects thrive. This is the most vibrant, loud, and colorful layer, where sound itself becomes part of the ecosystem. To walk here, if one could, would be like navigating a crowded, chaotic city. And yet above even this teeming world rises another, the emergent layer. The giants of the Amazon break free from the canopy, their trunks soaring hundreds of feet into the air, crowned with leafy umbrellas that touch the sky. Here, the forest opens to sunlight, wind, and storms. Only a handful of trees are strong enough to reach this height, their roots anchoring them against tropical tempests. From their high vantage point, one can look out over a seemingly endless expanse of rolling green, the forest stretching to the horizon like an ocean made of leaves. The emergent layer is the domain of the great harpy eagle, its wings spanning longer than a man is tall, and of butterflies the size of dinner plates. It is also home to bats that emerge at dusk and insects carried on the wind. For much of the day, it is quiet, basking in the sun. But when storms roll through, these trees take the first strike of thunder and rain, shielding the layers below. What makes the layers remarkable is not only their differences, but the way they connect. The sloth climbs from the canopy down to the floor. Ants harvest leaves above to fuel underground farms below. Fruits ripen in the sunlit canopy, only to fall and feed animals of the floor. Vines climb from the ground, threading through every level, bridging realms. Every tier relies on the others, each part of a cycle so intricate it has taken millions of years to weave. To stand in the Amazon and think of it as one forest is to misunderstand it. It is instead a world built upward, like a city of vertical neighborhoods, each distinct but inseparably tied. The forest floor, dim and hushed, is the foundation. The understory, shadowed and secretive, is its cloaked passage. The canopy, loud and bursting with life, is its bustling market square. And the emergent layer, crowned by trees like ancient sentinels, is its skyline. Together, they form not just a forest, but a universe stacked upon itself, each level rich with stories, each waiting to be explored. To walk here is to move not only forward, but upward into a new realm of sound, color, and hidden life with every step. And in these layers, mysteries remain, secrets still whispering in the leaves, reminding us that the Amazon is not just one world, but many worlds folded into one. The canopy above may hold sunlight, birds, and vibrant orchids, but beneath all that green majesty lies a world just as alive, though much darker, quieter, and strangely unsettling. To step onto the floor of the Amazon rainforest is to enter a place where the air feels heavy and damp, where every step is softened by layers of decaying leaves, and where the light is so faint that it often feels more like twilight than day. It is here, close to the roots of the towering giants, that countless small creatures dwell. They may not inspire the awe of monkeys leaping between trees or parrots flashing their wings in the sun, but in their tiny jaws, stings, and careful ambushes lies the very machinery that keeps the forest running. They are the predators of the floor hunters, no bigger than your hand, some no larger than a fingernail, yet their impact is felt in every cycle of life and death beneath the canopy. When you kneel down and brush aside the damp leaves, the illusion of stillness quickly shatters. At first, you see only decay-crumbled bark, broken twigs, soggy leaves that disintegrate at a touch. But then the movement reveals itself. A beetle scuttling into shadow, the gleam of a spider's eyes reflecting faint light, a snake no thicker than a rope slipping silently into the undergrowth. In these fleeting glimpses, you realize the floor is not silent at all. It is seething with life, and with predators that live by stealth. The forest floor is one of the least lit environments in the Amazon. Only about 1% of the sunlight filtering through the canopy above reaches this realm. That dimness makes it the perfect hunting ground for creatures adapted to ambush, to creeping, to sudden bursts of violence from the shadows. Predators here do not need speed in open chase. They thrive by waiting, lurking, or striking within inches. Consider the army of ants that marshes unseen beneath the leaves. They are not the brightly visible leaf-cutter ants, famous for carrying green flags of foliage along their trails. These are predators' driver ants, legionary ants hordes that surge across the forest floor like a moving carpet. To encounter them is to witness nature in its rawest form. They devour anything in their path, beetles, spiders, even small vertebrates. Nothing is safe when the swarm comes, for their jaws are sharp, their numbers overwhelming. For the smaller insects and creatures that live on the forest floor, the arrival of such a colony is a death sentence. Even larger animals flee at the tremor of their advance. Yet in their destruction, the ants clear away the weak and the dead, recycling nutrients into the earth. They are ruthless but necessary, predators that function almost like the cleaners of the forest, ensuring that decay never lingers too long. But ants are not the only terror beneath the leaves. If you stand still and listen, you may notice a faint, rhythmic chirp, a sound carried low and close to the ground. It comes from crickets and katydids, whose lives are precarious in the shadows. Waiting for them are hunters, so patient they could be mistaken for twigs or leaves. The praying mantis, with its folded forelegs poised like spears, is one such hunter. Though it is small, it moves with the precision of a master assassin. A mantis does not chase, it waits. The moment a cricket lands too close, the forelegs snap forward with a speed too quick for the eye to follow, piercing the prey and holding it fast as the insect begins to consume its catch alive. There is something unsettling about the quiet efficiency of this predator. It is not violent in the way of lions or crocodiles, but its stillness, its calm, and then its sudden lethal strike reveal the perfection of its design. Other predators on the floor rely not on patience, but on speed and venom. The wandering spiders of the Amazon are feared even by humans, for their bite is potent enough to be dangerous to us. Yet to the creatures of the forest floor, these spiders are simply part of the natural balance. They stalk at night, moving swiftly over the leaf litter, their 8 legs carrying them in search of insects, frogs, and anything small enough to be subdued. Unlike web builders, these spiders do not rely on traps. They are active hunters, and when they pounce, their fangs deliver venom that paralyzes their prey almost instantly. Watching such a spider move across the forest floor, you sense both elegance and danger, a sleek predator, perfectly suited to its dim world. And then there are the scorpions. Hidden under logs, nestled in the cool darkness of stones and roots, they come alive under the cover of night. To human eyes aided by ultraviolet light, they glow eerily, their bodies shining in ghostly blues and greens. To their prey, however, they are nothing but silent death. A small beetle wandering too close will feel the sting of the scorpion's tail, quick and decisive, the venom rushing through its tiny body. What follows is inevitable. The scorpion consumes its prize, leaving little behind. The predators of the floor come in more forms than just insects and arachnids. Tiny snakes, slender and fast, patrol the ground as well. Some are no thicker than a pencil, yet their mouths open wide enough to swallow frogs or lizards. Many of these snakes rely on camouflage, blending into the brown leaves, their patterns indistinguishable from the patchwork of shadow and decay. To spot one is rare. To step near one unnoticed is easy. Yet most avoid confrontation with larger beings like us, their role centered on keeping populations of smaller creatures in balance. Lizards, too, take part in this endless cycle. Anoles, skinks, and other small reptiles dart between shafts of light, their tongues flicking to taste the air. They are hunters of insects, consuming grasshoppers, spiders, and beetles. Their speed gives them an advantage, and their size makes them both predator and prey. In one moment, an anole might seize a cricket. In the next, it must freeze in place as a larger predator stalks nearby. Such is the reality of life on the floor. Every hunter is also hunted. Perhaps one of the most fascinating predators here is the assassin bug. Its very name conveys its nature. With a long, piercing beak, it stabs its prey, injecting saliva that liquefies the insides before sucking it dry. It is a gruesome method of feeding, yet brutally efficient. Some assassin bugs even use camouflage, covering themselves with the remains of their victims, carrying the hollow shells of ants or beetles upon their backs as a disguise. It is not only effective but macabre, a reminder of how creativity and survival can look both ingenious and horrific. What unites all these predators is their scale. They are small, so small that to a casual glance, the forest floor may appear empty, even barren. Yet when you slow down and look closely, you realize that it is not the absence of life, but its abundance that overwhelms you. It is simply hidden, tucked into the folds of leaf litter, disguised in the bark, are waiting silently under logs. For the creatures that live here, size does not diminish their significance. The floor is a battleground, a stage where countless tiny dramas unfold every hour, unseen by the towering creatures above. And though their struggles are small, their impact is vast. Every ant, spider, or mantis that hunts helps regulate the populations of other creatures. They ensure no one species overruns the balance. They are the silent guardians of the ecosystem, their violence and cunning essential to the health of the rainforest. Without them, decay would pile too thick, insects would swarm unchecked, disease might spread. It is in their predation that stability arises. As you crouch on the floor and listen, the forest whispers differently here. Above in the canopy, life seems vibrant and celebratory. Birds sing, monkeys call, leaves shimmer in sunlight. But here, close to the ground, life feels tense, secretive, edged with danger. The predators of the floor do not announce themselves. They stalk quietly, they kill quickly, and they vanish back into shadow. And yet, in their quiet, they are indispensable. The Amazon is often imagined as a place of towering trees and colorful birds, but the truth is much of its essence lies beneath your feet in the dark, damp underworld of the floor, where predators no larger than your palm ensure the survival of the forest itself. They may never be celebrated like jaguars or anacondas, but without them, the green canopy above could not endure. So the next time you imagine stepping into the heart of the Amazon, remember to look down, to kneel, to see what stirs beneath the leaves. For there, hidden in the dimness, are the tiny predators that hold the balance of a world. High above the dim, damp forest floor, a world thrives in near constant sunlight. The canopy of the Amazon rainforest stretches out like a vast, living continent in the sky, a dense ceiling of green that both protects the ground beneath and hides from view an astonishing abundance of life. To step into the canopy, if one were somehow able to cross its woven lattice of branches and leaves, is to discover a realm that feels entirely separate from the world below. This is not merely an extension of the forest. It is its own country of creatures, its own ecology, and in many ways, the true heartbeat of the Amazon. Here, among the swaying treetops, one finds monkeys leaping, parrots shrieking, snakes coiling across branches, and countless insects buzzing in the warm sunlight. The canopy is both stage and fortress, a place of constant movement, constant feeding, and constant competition for the most precious resource in the rainforest light. The canopy is the place where the rainforest breathes. Most of the photosynthesis that fuels this vast ecosystem happens here, in the broad, sun-drenched leaves of the trees. From the forest floor, these trees appear like endless pillars, their crowns hidden from sight. But above, the canopy is tightly packed, branches and leaves overlapping to create an almost continuous surface. Scientists who have studied it describe the feeling of standing on walkways strung through the treetops as walking on green clouds. There is a sense of suspension, of floating, as if the ground no longer exists. For the animals who live here, that sensation is reality. Many species of the canopy never touch the earth at all in their entire lives. Their universe is defined by tree trunks, branches, vines, and leaves, and they are perfectly adapted to navigate this maze. Take the monkeys, for instance. Few sights are as iconic as a troop of capuchins or howler monkeys swinging from branch to branch, tails curling tightly around twigs, fingers grasping for the next hold. Capuchins are clever and resourceful, using tools, cracking nuts, and testing their environment with hands nearly as dexterous as ours. They are the problem solvers of the canopy, constantly chattering, investigating, and exploring. Howler monkeys, in contrast, are more sedentary, but no less remarkable. Their long guttural calls roll across the treetops at dawn and dusk, shaking the air like distant thunder. The sound can carry for miles, warning rival groups to stay away from their feeding grounds. For them, the canopy is both territory and larder, providing leaves, fruit, and blossoms to eat, as well as vantage points to monitor threats. Birds bring color and constant motion to the canopy skies. Macaws and parrots, with their brilliant plumage, streak across the treetops in noisy flocks, their squawks echoing in the still air. These birds are not only strikingly beautiful, but also key players in the rainforest, this cycle of renewal, carrying seeds far from the trees that bore them, ensuring diversity in the forest. Toucans, with their oversized, vibrant beaks, clamber through branches in search of fruit, their calls sharp and resonant. Hummingbirds, tiny yet fierce, dart in the gaps between leaves, their wings beating so rapidly they hum like invisible engines. Each bird is finely tuned to this aerial realm, their flights and perches timed with the blooming of flowers and the ripening of fruits. The canopy is, to them, a banquet that requires constant attention. And then there are the snakes. To most people, the idea of snakes and trees is unsettling. Yet in the Amazon, arboreal snakes are as natural as lizards in the desert. The emerald tree boa is perhaps the most dazzling of all. Its bright green scales dappled with white, coiling gracefully on branches where it waits in ambush. Motionless for hours, it becomes part of the canopy itself, a green vine disguised as a predator. When an unwary bird or small mammal comes too close, the snake strikes with breathtaking speed, its coils wrapping tight. Other species, like the Amazon tree boa, rely less on camouflage and more on their agility, slipping silently from branch to branch in search of prey. Snakes here remind us that while the canopy may be beautiful, it is also a place of constant danger. The relationships between these creatures are as intricate as the vines that lace through the branches. Fruit-bearing trees attract monkeys and birds, which in turn scatter seeds across the forest. Snakes lurk in wait for small mammals and fledglings, keeping populations in balance. Insects hum through every crevice, pollinating flowers and feeding larger animals. It is a web of endless interconnection, each strand supporting the next. To remove one would change the shape of the whole. Scientists sometimes describe the canopy as a green ocean, with its leaves like waves and its creatures the sailors and predators navigating the expanse. Unlike the silent stillness of the ocean's depths, however, the canopy is alive with noise. Calls, songs, and rustles fill the air from dawn until long after sunset. For all its vibrancy, the canopy remains mysterious to us. It is difficult to study, perched so high above the forest floor, with branches often too thin to bear weight and creatures too wary to linger when humans intrude. Only in recent decades have researchers built canopy walkways, cranes, and balloons to explore this hidden realm. What they have found confirms what indigenous peoples living near the forest always knew, that the canopy is a world unto itself, home to untold numbers of species still unknown to science. Many of these creatures remain unnamed, their behaviors unrecorded, their roles in the ecosystem not yet understood. Each discovery brings new questions. How many animals live only here, never descending to the ground? How do they communicate, breed, and hunt in this suspended world? To imagine living one's whole life in the canopy is to imagine a world where gravity pulls differently. Every movement is a calculation, every leap a gamble. For monkeys, tails become lifelines. For birds, wings must be precise. For snakes, coils must grip tight. Yet for those who thrive here, this green ceiling is home, safe from many of the predators lurking below. Jaguars, for example, rarely climb into the treetops, leaving the canopy dwellers free from one of the forest's most dangerous hunters. But safety is always relative in the rainforest. Harpy eagles, with their immense talons and powerful wings, patrol the canopy skies. These apex predators can pluck monkeys or sloths straight from the branches, their presence a constant reminder that no place in the forest is entirely without threat. The canopy also pulses with rhythm, Seasonal rains bring surges of fruit and flowers, drawing animals into frenzied activity. Dry periods force others to retreat or adapt, their calls quieter, their movements more cautious. At night, when many of the diurnal creatures settle, the nocturnal ones emerge. Bats flutter through the open air. Owls swoop silently between trunks, and insects take over the chorus. The canopy never truly sleeps. It shifts, it transforms, but it never ceases. For humans standing on the forest floor, the canopy can feel impossibly distant. It blocks the sky, letting only fragments of light filter through, creating a dim twilight below. Yet above that shadow, there is a realm drenched in sunlight, teeming with life, a place where color explodes, where wings beat endlessly, and where creatures leap with fearless grace. To know the canopy is to glimpse the rainforest's true vitality. It is the crown of the Amazon, both shield and sanctuary, its inhabitants moving through a labyrinth of branches with a freedom that makes the ground seem unnecessary. In the end, the canopy is a reminder of how layered life can be. From the darkness of the floor to the brightness of the treetops, each level tells a different story, each one vital to the whole. The creatures of the canopy may live high above, out of sight, but their presence shapes everything beneath. They scatter seeds, they pollinate flowers, they control populations of insects and small mammals. Without them, the forest would falter. And so, while the canopy may feel distant to us, it is perhaps the most important part of the Amazon. A world apart, yet deeply connected, it whispers its secrets in the rustle of leaves, in the flash of feathers, and in the silent watch of a snake coiled tight. The deeper one travels into the Amazon, the more impossible it becomes to ignore the presence of water. It is not simply that the forest is watered by rain the constant, drumming showers that fall almost daily, soaking bark and soil alike. No, the Amazon is a realm sculpted by rivers, a living continent of currents, eddies, and channels that weave endlessly through the green. To walk through this forest is to be surrounded by liquid veins, carrying nutrients, creatures, and stories that have flowed for thousands of years. If the canopy is the roof of the Amazon, then the rivers are its arteries. They sustain, they divide, and they bind the rainforest together. It begins with the Amazon River itself, a leviathan among waterways. No river on earth carries more water, and few can compare to its length. Originating high in the Andes, in icy mountain streams where the air is thin and sharp, it gathers force as it descends into the basin. By the time it reaches the lowlands, it is no mere river, but a universe of water, flowing across thousands of miles, cutting a broad, sinuous path through dense forest, carrying sediment, life, and legend. At its mouth, where it spills into the Atlantic Ocean, the sheer volume of fresh water pouring outward is enough to push back the sea. For hundreds of kilometers out into the ocean, the salty tongue of the Atlantic is diluted by the Amazon's strength, a mingling of worlds that speaks to the river's enormity. But the Amazon River itself is only part of the story. Feeding into it are thousands of tributaries, some so wide that they seem like rivers in their own right, others narrow and winding, like threads of glass weaving through the green. These channels and creeks form one of the most complex freshwater systems on Earth. They create a labyrinth where maps struggle to capture the truth, and where the line between land and water is constantly blurred. In the rainy season, when torrents fall almost without pause, the rivers swell and spill into the forest, flooding vast tracts of land. Entire groves of trees stand waist-deep or chest-deep in brown water. Canoes glide silently beneath branches where monkeys leap overhead, the forest floor hidden beneath a shifting mirror. In the dry season, those same groves may stand on cracked, sun-baked soil, the river shrunk back into its narrower bed. Life here is built upon adaptation to water's rhythms. The creatures that dwell within these rivers are as extraordinary as the rivers themselves. Take, for instance, the giant fish that glide through the depths. The arapaima, known locally as pirarucu, is one of the largest freshwater fish in the world. Some grow longer than a grown man, weighing over 200 kilograms, their scales glinting like bronze armor. They rise occasionally to the surface with a sudden, dramatic gulp, drawing in air to supplement their gills. In the stillness of an Amazon backwater, such a sound can be startling, a sudden reminder that beneath the placid surface, giants swim. For centuries, local communities have revered the arapaima as both food and myth. Its flesh feeds families, its presence inspires stories, and its resilience echoes the untamed force of the river itself. Not far behind in reputation are the piranhas, small yet infamous fish with sharp teeth and a hunger that borders on legend. Tales of them stripping entire animals to bone in moments have long entered popular imagination. And while many of these stories are exaggerated, the piranha is no creature to underestimate. Their jaws are powerful, their movements sudden. They are scavengers and hunters both, thriving in schools that patrol the murky water with relentless energy. Yet they are not simply bloodthirsty beasts. They, too, are vital threads in the Amazon's web, consuming decaying flesh, keeping the waters clean, ensuring that life flows smoothly from one form to another. Even in their menace, they are custodians of the river's health. Other creatures inspire awe not with ferocity, but with sheer strangeness. The electric eel, for example, lurks in sluggish, muddy waters, capable of generating powerful electric shocks. To witness one is to encounter something that seems less like a fish and more like a natural battery, a living coil of energy hidden in the shadows. Its ability to stun prey and sometimes defend itself with a zap powerful enough to shock a human adds another layer of mystery to these waters. Then there is the pink river dolphin, known as the boto, a creature whose very existence blurs the line between reality and folklore. With their pale, rose-colored skin and inquisitive eyes, these dolphins move gracefully through the flooded forests, slipping between tree trunks where saltwater dolphins could never dream of swimming. Local legends whisper of botos transforming into humans at night, luring the unwary to riverbanks, weaving their image into myth as much as biology. The rivers are also home to the caiman, silent reptilian hunters that patrol the edges. With eyes like golden lanterns, they float almost motionless at dusk, the surface rippling only when they move. These relatives of alligators embody patience and power, their armored forms a reminder of ancient worlds. When the sun sets and the forest darkens, their presence becomes all the more haunting. To drift in a canoe through black water and see the glowing reflections of a dozen caiman eyes staring back is to feel the thin line between being observer and prey. Yet, like all creatures here, they are more than predators, they are integral to balance, shaping the populations of fish, birds, and mammals that depend on the water. But the rivers do not only carry animals, they carry plants too, and with them, entire floating worlds. Islands of vegetation drift slowly downstream, sometimes so large that they resemble meadows torn loose from the shore. Their tangled roots provide shelter for fish, frogs, and insects, transforming these rafts into miniature ecosystems. In the still waters along the banks, lilies the size of dining tables spread their broad leaves, offering resting places for frogs or the occasional bird. The Victoria amazonica, the giant water lily, is perhaps the most iconic of these. Its leaves can span over 2 meters across, their undersides reinforced by a lattice of ribs strong enough to support the weight of a child. When they bloom, their flowers open in the evening, pure white at first, drawing in beetles with sweet fragrance. By the next day, the petals blush pink, and the cycle continues a rhythm of color and scent tied intimately to the pulse of the water. These waterways also shape human life in profound ways. For countless generations, indigenous communities have built their homes along the rivers, relying on them for food, transport, and spiritual meaning. To them, the river is not a barrier but a highway, not simply a resource but a relative. Canoes carved from single tree trunks glide with ease, carrying families, traders, or hunters through networks of streams that outsiders can scarcely imagine. Knowledge of these channels, passed down through oral tradition, ensures survival. A bend in the river, a cluster of certain trees, the calls of birds, all serve as navigational tools in a land where compasses are often useless. For these communities, the river is as alive as any creature, its moods studied, its gifts respected, its dangers acknowledged. And the rivers have moods. They flood and recede, roar and whisper. In one season, they may be gentle and inviting, offering mirror-like reflections of the canopy above. In another, they may surge with unstoppable force, sweeping away soil, trees, even villages. But even in destruction, they create new beginnings, depositing fertile sediment along banks, refreshing the cycle of growth. Every year, fish migrate in tune with the floods, plants bloom in rhythm with the waters, and people adjust their lives around the ebb and flow. To live in the Amazon is to live not against the river, but with it, attuned to its power. The rivers also carry secrets that science has only begun to uncover. Beneath their opaque surfaces lie species still unnamed, behaviors still unobserved. New catfish, new frogs, new crustaceans. Each year reveals more of the diversity hidden in these waters. Yet even as discovery unfolds, danger looms. Pollution, deforestation, and climate change threaten to alter these delicate ecosystems. Mercury from gold mining seeps into the channels, poisoning fish and people alike. Dams choke the natural flow, disrupting the migrations that countless species depend upon. What has endured for millennia now faces uncertainty. The rivers that once seemed eternal are fragile in ways that humanity cannot ignore. And yet, despite these challenges, the rivers endure as symbols of resilience. They remind us of the ceaseless interplay between abundance and scarcity, between beauty and danger. They are mirrors, reflecting the canopy above and the lives within. They are highways, carrying cultures and creatures across a vast green ocean of forest. They are lifelines, without which the Amazon could not exist. To drift down one of these channels, surrounded by the calls of unseen birds, the splash of a fish breaking the surface, the humid breath of the jungle pressing close, is to glimpse something primordial, something that existed long before humanity, and that, if protected, will outlast us. The rivers of the Amazon are not merely bodies of water. They are the pulse of the world's largest rainforest, steady, insistent, eternal. They flow through time as they flow through land, shaping everything they touch. And as the canoe glides forward, current tugging, gently canopy leaning overhead, one cannot help but feel that these rivers do not simply belong to the forest. They are the forest liquid and alive, carrying its secrets into the horizon. The Amazon rainforest is often thought of as a realm of beauty, a place where vibrant colors leap out at every turn, where butterflies glimmer like floating jewels and orchids, cling to tree trunks in cascades of pink and white. Yet hidden within that beauty lies another truth, one that makes this jungle as dangerous as it is enchanting. The rainforest is a place where life has evolved through endless contests of survival, and some of its most breathtaking inhabitants are also the most lethal. To walk through this green world is to be surrounded by forms of defense and attack honed over millions of years, strategies so elegant and deceptive that they blur the line between danger and wonder. This is the poisonous beauty of the Amazon, where what dazzles the eyes might kill with a single touch, and what humbles you with its brilliance is often designed to warn you away. The story begins with the frogs that flash their brilliance in the shadows of the forest floor. Tiny and delicate, they look like harmless splashes of paint hopping among the leaves. Red, yellow, blue, and green, sometimes spotted, sometimes striped. Their patterns are as bright as the tropical flowers themselves. But these are the poison dart frogs, creatures whose skin secretes some of the most potent toxins known to humankind. Indigenous tribes once harnessed that power, carefully coating the tips of their hunting darts with the frog's venom. A single touch to blood or an open wound could paralyze and kill. The frog itself, though small enough to perch on the tip of a finger, carries inside its body a chemical arsenal designed not for offense but for defense, a biological shield that keeps predators at bay. The colors are not decoration. They are warning signals in the language of survival, a way of saying, "Come closer if you dare, but you will regret it." For a predator, one mistake might be its last, and so the lesson is learned quickly. In the silence of the forest, a frog glowing with unnatural brightness is a sign that the balance of beauty and danger is everywhere. Move closer to the trunks of trees and vines, and another form of poisonous elegance waits among the branches. The rainforest is home to snakes that embody camouflage and lethality in equal measure. Some, like the emerald tree boa, wrap themselves in coils of green that blend with the canopy leaves. They are not venomous, but rely on muscle and ambush, striking with sudden speed. But nearby lurk others whose venom is as silent as it is devastating. The fer-de-lance, for instance, is one of the most feared snakes of South America. Its bite delivers a venom that destroys tissue and blood cells, overwhelming even large animals. To encounter one on a shadowed path is to confront a creature that looks ordinary, mottled brown, and easy to mistake for fallen leaves, but hides a weapon more potent than any claw or fang. Here, danger does not announce itself in colors. It hides in plain sight, waiting until curiosity or misstep brings the intruder too close. The Amazon's insects, too, have mastered the art of poisonous beauty. Wander through the understory, and the air seems alive with buzzing wings and flashes of iridescent light. Many are harmless, pollinators and scavengers that keep the forest alive. But some of the smallest are also the most feared. Bullet ants, with their dark, almost unremarkable bodies, carry a sting that has been described as one of the most painful sensations known to humankind. Victims say it feels as if their skin is being burned and torn all at once, the pain radiating for hours. The ant does not kill outright, but its sting is a declaration of dominance in a world where survival is contested every second. Indigenous rites of passage sometimes involve young men enduring the bites of these ants as a test of endurance, slipping their hands into woven gloves filled with the insects. The poison becomes not just a defense mechanism of the ants, but a symbol of strength, woven into the culture of people who have lived alongside these creatures for centuries. Hovering higher in the air are wasps and bees, many armed with venom to deter threats. The Amazon giant hunting wasp, sleek and black, paralyzes tarantulas with its sting, laying eggs inside the still-living bodies so that its young can feed on fresh meat. It is a grim reminder that poison in this forest is not always a shield. It is sometimes a tool for ensuring the next generation survives. Beauty, in this sense, becomes terrifyingly practical. The shimmer of wings hides a cycle of life and death, so raw it borders on horror. Even the plants of the rainforest wield poisons of astonishing complexity. Among the vines and towering roots are species whose leaves and seeds conceal alkaloids strong enough to kill. Some trees produce sap that can cause blisters on contact, a defense against being stripped bare by insects or grazed by mammals. Others contain compounds that indigenous peoples have long understood how to harness. The curare vine, for example, provides the basis for another kind of poison used in hunting. Applied to arrow tips, its effect is swift, relaxing muscles and stopping prey from escaping. To touch the vine casually is harmless, but to pierce the skin with its essence is to invite paralysis. Nature here is both pharmacy and armory, every plant carrying the potential to heal or harm, depending on how it is used. The people who have lived in this forest for generations have learned the delicate balance, walking a fine line between remedy and poison, beauty and death. What makes the poisonous beauty of the Amazon so compelling is not only the potency of these toxins, but the ways they intertwine with the very appearance of life. Flowers with vivid petals may signal food for pollinators, but some also conceal chemicals that burn or sicken those who handle them carelessly. Bright beetles glint like jewels, but exude acrid fluids when disturbed. Even caterpillars, soft-bodied and vulnerable, are lined with spines that deliver venom strong enough to send a grown human writhing in pain. To look upon them is to admire patterns and textures that rival the finest works of art. But those same patterns serve as warning. Do not touch, do not interfere. Beauty is a mask, an advertisement of danger written across fragile bodies that would otherwise be defenseless. In this sense, poison in the rainforest is not cruelty, but balance. It is the invisible thread that keeps the endless web of life intact. Predators learn caution. Prey learns defense. Plants are not consumed to extinction. Insects find ways to flourish without being devoured. The toxins are signals, contracts of survival signed in chemistry and color. The forest, with its infinite struggle for space and light, has given rise to 1,000 ways of saying, "Keep away," without a word being spoken. For those who enter this realm from the outside, the effect is mesmerizing. To a traveler or naturalist, the Amazon's poisonous beauty is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. It reveals a truth about life itself, that danger and wonder are not opposites, but partners, each amplifying the other. The frog that glows like a living gemstone, the snake that vanishes into a blanket of leaves, the ant whose sting burns hotter than fire. These are not aberrations, but the rule in a world where everything must fight to endure. And so, to stand in the rainforest and witness its dangerous splendor is to feel humbled. Every step is a reminder that survival here belongs not to the strongest or the loudest, but to those who have learned to adapt in ways almost unimaginable. Beauty is everywhere, but beauty is rarely innocent. It is strategy, it is defense, it is warning. To appreciate it fully is to acknowledge that life and death walk hand in hand under the canopy, and that the line between them is as fine as the skin of a frog or the flick of an ant's sting. The Amazon, then, is not simply a garden of delights. It is a living testament to the power of poison, a showcase of evolution's most dazzling defenses. Its creatures and plants dazzle us with colors, hypnotize us with shapes, and conceal within them secrets so potent that even science has yet to uncover them all. In this vast green world, beauty is never just what it seems. It is a language of survival, written in toxins and warning signs, a code that whispers through the trees. Admire if you wish, but do not forget the danger beneath the surface. When the last rays of sunlight slip beneath the horizon and the vast green sea of the Amazon canopy begins to darken, the forest transforms into a place entirely different from the world of daylight. The golden shafts of light that once filtered down through the towering leaves vanish, replaced by deepening shadows and a slow, creeping coolness. A subtle hush spreads across the jungle at first, as if every leaf and vine holds its breath. But it is only a pause before a new chorus begins. For the creatures of the night, dusk is not an ending, but an awakening. And what follows is a symphony of sounds, movements, and unseen presences that make the forest both enchanting and unsettling. As the twilight deepens, the atmosphere thickens. The air grows heavy, damp, carrying the lingering warmth of the day, alongside a chill that seems to seep out of the trees themselves. Mist rises from the damp soil, weaving through the roots and trunks in pale tendrils. The smell of earth and decaying leaves sharpens, mixed with the faint, sweet aroma of flowers that choose the night to release their scents. For a traveler standing in the middle of this darkening labyrinth, vision quickly becomes unreliable. Shapes blur into one another, branches twist into skeletal forms, and the once familiar forest floor begins to feel infinite and alien. The ears, however, are overwhelmed. From all directions comes a rising wave of sound chirps, croaks, hoots, buzzes, and distant growls blending into an unending song of life. Frogs are among the first to announce the night. Tiny voices, sharp and piercing, echo from unseen puddles and hollow logs, some shrill, others melodic, overlapping into a chaotic chorus. Their calls, though beautiful in their own right, serve a clear purpose, attracting mates and marking territories in the dense, hidden world of the undergrowth. Among them, the famed poison dart frogs flash their brilliance under moonlight, tiny sparks of red, blue, and yellow. To the human eye, they are beautiful gems scattered across the leaves, but to predators, their colors are warnings of toxins potent enough to kill. These frogs are reminders that beauty and danger often coexist in this jungle, woven inseparably into the threads of survival. The insects soon join in, and with them, the night swells with constant vibration. Cicadas emerge, their collective song so loud it drowns out nearly everything else for stretches of time. Crickets chirp in erratic rhythms, while beetles and moths buzz heavily through the air. Mosquitoes, ever persistent, rise in swarms, hunting in clouds that dance around warm bodies. For those who live in or visit the forest, the insects are perhaps the most intimate companions of the night. Their bites and stings reminders that every corner of the jungle is alive and aware. Yet many of these insects play roles far larger than irritation. Moths pollinate flowers that bloom only at night, their delicate proboscises reaching deep into blossoms that remain closed during the day. Fireflies drift through the darkness, their gentle lights glowing like wandering stars, guiding mates through the endless black. Above, in the canopy, the voices of birds give way to new performers. Daytime parrots and toucans fall silent, replaced by the haunting calls of nightjars and patoos. The potoo, with its eerie cry that echoes like a moan through the trees, blends seamlessly into the bark when perched, almost invisible by day, but its presence is unmistakable under the cover of night. Owls, too, rise from their hidden perches. Their wings beat silently as they glide between branches, eyes glowing with reflected light as they hunt for unsuspecting prey. The forest, which once seemed crowded with color and chatter, now feels dominated by shadows and sudden movements predators, silently cutting through the darkness. On the forest floor, larger hunters begin to stir. Jaguars, the silent lords of the night, slip from their resting places, their rosetted coats nearly invisible in the gloom. They pad silently along game trails, each step precise, their senses sharpened by generations of survival in this labyrinth. To the creatures they hunt, capybaras grazing near rivers, armadillos rummaging through leaf litter, or even canines basking too close to the shore, the jaguar is a phantom. Unlike the roar of a lion or the howl of a wolf, the jaguar makes no announcement. Its power lies in stillness, in silence, in the ability to vanish until the instant it strikes. To imagine walking through the forest and hearing nothing, yet knowing that such a predator might be only feet away, is enough to make the jungle's darkness feel suffocating. Bats, too, take to the air in astonishing numbers. Emerging from hollow trees and hidden caves, they streak across the canopy in search of food. Some skim the surface of rivers, catching insects that hover above the water, while others dart through the undergrowth with breathtaking agility. Fruit bats, with their keen sense of smell, travel great distances to find ripe fruit, spreading seeds that will one day grow into towering trees. Vampire bats, small and unassuming, feed in the shadows with precision, lapping blood from wounds so delicate that their prey rarely notices until much later. To some, these creatures are sinister, yet they are vital architects of the forest's renewal, each species contributing to the balance of this immense ecosystem. Meanwhile, the rivers change character. What was glistening under daylight now reflects only fragments of moonlight or remains pitch black beneath the thick canopy. The surface ripples with unseen movements. Fish leap briefly into the air, their scales flashing before vanishing again into the depths. Caimans float silently, their eyes glowing like embers as they patrol the waterways. Piranhas, often misunderstood, stir in schools, their movements efficient and coordinated. Along the banks, giant rodents like capybaras gather cautiously, aware that predators lurk in both water and forest. Insects hover in glowing clouds above the surface, becoming food for bats and fish alike. The rivers, even at their quietest, hum with the sense of hidden presence, as though an entire world of secrets moves just beneath the ripples. As the night deepens, the sounds become even more layered. Some animals fall silent as they retreat, while others rise to fill the space. A sudden rustle in the leaves might signal a snake sliding through the branches, its scales whispering against the bark. Eyes flash briefly in the beam of a lantern, belonging to creatures as varied as ocelots, kinkajous, or coatis. The kinkajou, sometimes called the honey bear, clambers through the canopy with nimble grace, feeding on fruit and nectar under the stars. Its soft cries are drowned by the louder calls of howler monkeys, whose voices can carry for miles, rolling like thunder through the trees. Though they often call at dawn and dusk, their presence in the night adds an otherworldly depth to the forest's music, a sound so primal it can chill even the most experienced traveler. The human imagination cannot help but wander in this setting. To sit in the dark, surrounded by an ocean of sound and unseen life, is to feel both awe and fear. Myths and legends often draw life from such environments, and in the Amazon, stories of spirits and creatures hidden in the canopy have persisted for centuries. To the people who have lived here for generations, the night is not merely biological, it is spiritual, a realm where the seen and unseen blur. Fires lit at night become both warmth and protection, circles of light pushing back against the immensity of the unknown. The crackling of flames offers a rhythm, a heartbeat in the overwhelming chorus, reminding humans of their fragile place in this great living cathedral. And then, toward the quietest hours, the forest seems to take a breath again. Some sounds soften, others fade entirely, leaving moments of near silence, broken only by the faint hum of insects or the distant splash of water. In these rare pauses, the sheer magnitude of the forest presses in. Millions of creatures, each following rhythms older than human history, move in ways unseen, shaping the ecosystem in every heartbeat. To walk among them is to step into something timeless. Night in the Amazon is not simply the absence of day. It is a world with its own rules, its own rulers, and its own wonders. The jungle at night is alive in ways that daylight cannot reveal, mysterious, dangerous, yet breathtaking in its richness. To stand in its midst is to feel the pulse of something vast, a reminder that humanity is only one thread in a tapestry too large to fully comprehend. As the stars drift overhead and the darkness deepens, the Amazon whispers and roars, a living entity that never truly sleeps, only changes its face, waiting for dawn to bring yet another transformation. Beneath the whispering canopy of the Amazon, where trees rise like cathedral spires and the ground is thick with the scent of damp earth, lies a truth that many travelers overlook. The rainforest is not only home to creatures and plants, but to people, some known to the world and others deliberately unseen. The idea of lost tribes evokes images of vanished civilizations swallowed by the green abyss, their trails covered by moss, and their voices silenced by vines. Yet, in truth, many of these people are not lost, but hidden, choosing isolation as a shield against a world that has too often brought them suffering. For centuries, indigenous tribes have walked the labyrinthine paths of the forest, navigating waterways as naturally as others read maps, their knowledge of the jungle so profound it borders on the mystical. Every leaf, root, and sound holds meaning. Some groups live in the heart of the forest, rarely crossing paths with outsiders, their existence pieced together only from faint smoke rising above the trees, footprints left along riverbanks, or fleeting glimpses caught by passing planes. The Amazon shelters more than 400 indigenous tribes, each with its own languages, traditions, and lifeways. some stretching back thousands of years. Among them are the so-called uncontacted peoples, communities that have rejected interaction with the outside world. To outsiders, they remain a mystery, their daily rhythms imagined rather than witnessed. Yet for the tribes themselves, this choice is an act of survival. History has shown what contact brings: diseases against which they have no immunity, exploitation of their land, and the erosion of their culture. By staying hidden, they preserve not just their physical lives, but the threads of identity and memory that connect them to their ancestors. Their shelters are woven from palm leaves, their tools carved from the bones of animals and the woods of trees, their diets drawn from rivers teeming with fish and forests heavy with fruit. When one imagines their footsteps pressing into the soil, it becomes clear: these people carry within them secrets of living with a land that the wider world has long forgotten. Yet not all human traces in the Amazon belong to the living. Scattered through the dense vegetation are remnants of ancient civilizations, societies that flourished before European arrival, but later faded, leaving behind only hints of their grandeur. Archaeologists have uncovered geoglyphs vast, geometric earthworks carved into the land, only visible from above. These shapes, circles and squares etched into the forest floor, suggest organized societies with the knowledge and manpower to reshape their environment on a grand scale. Terra Preta, or Black Earth, another ancient legacy, dots the Amazon basin. Rich, fertile soil engineered by humans thousands of years ago. Unlike the thin, nutrient-poor soils common in the rainforest, Terra Preta remains fertile even after centuries, a testament to ingenuity in sustaining agriculture in an otherwise challenging environment. Together, these traces whisper of civilizations that may have been far more complex and populous than once assumed, their memory obscured by the relentless march of vines and roots. Walking deeper into the forest, one may come upon pathways some used daily, others abandoned and half swallowed by the jungle. A fallen log across a river might be a bridge left by hunters. Faint notches on trees may serve as signals, guiding those who know how to read them. In some areas, abandoned villages still stand, their outlines blurred by foliage. Wooden posts rot slowly in the damp air, but fragments of pottery remain, shards lying half buried in the soil, decorated with patterns that once told stories of gods, animals, and kinship. For outsiders, stumbling across these remnants feels like a discovery. For the people of the forest, they are reminders, threads in a continuum of presence that stretches back generations. The notion of lost tribes often captures the imagination because it suggests something elusive, hidden beyond reach, yet perpetually near. In truth, these communities are not relics, but living cultures, adapting even as they resist assimilation. They know the forest intimately, its medicines, poisons, seasons, and moods. Their myths and oral traditions encode ecological wisdom, teaching how to avoid predators, predict floods, or harvest plants without depleting them. To them, the forest is not an obstacle, but an extension of the self, a place where every being, from the smallest insect to the largest tree, participates in a shared rhythm of existence. Yet the balance between hidden presence and outside encroachment is fragile. Loggers, miners, and ranchers often press into territories long protected by isolation, their chainsaws and bulldozers erasing not just trees, but the very buffer that shields tribes from the modern world. Helicopters occasionally glimpse huts hidden in clearings, sparking debate about whether to make contact or respect silence. Some governments attempt to protect uncontacted tribes by demarcating their lands, but borders on a map mean little when profit lies in the soil beneath. Each intrusion risks collapse, an introduced illness, a forced displacement, the unraveling of a people's way of life. Still, within the heart of the rainforest, silence remains an ally. Smoke from cooking fires curls discreetly, blending with the morning mist. Canoes slip along river currents without leaving ripples. At night, When the jungle hums with insects and frogs, tribes gather around small flames, telling stories that echo the voices of ancestors. To the outsider, these communities may seem like shadows of the past, but to themselves, they are the present living, breathing guardians of secrets that lie beneath the Amazon canopy. Even the ancient ruins whisper of secrets yet uncovered. Archaeologists now suspect that the Amazon once supported vast networks of cities, their populations numbering in the millions. Roads, raised fields, canals, and defensive walls hint at an organized landscape, a hidden civilization erased by time and disease. What lies beneath the dense tangle of vegetation may be far greater than what has yet been uncovered. With modern technologies like LiDAR scanning, researchers are beginning to map out traces of these forgotten societies, discovering networks of settlements where once only unbroken forest seemed to exist. These revelations challenge the old assumption of the Amazon as an untouched wilderness, instead suggesting it is a cultural landscape shaped by human hands for thousands of years. The rainforest, then, is not only a home for animals and plants, but also a vast archive of human experience. Some of these stories are carried forward by indigenous communities still living deep within, their languages and practices a living record of resilience. Others are buried beneath layers of soil and roots, awaiting rediscovery. Both remind us that the Amazon canopy hides more than just biodiversity. It shelters histories, identities, and mysteries that bind human life to the rhythms of the forest. As you imagine standing in that vast green expanse, the air thick with humidity, and alive with the scent of earth, remember that every step may cross paths invisible to the eye. A trail may not lead to a jaguar or a hidden waterfall, but to the quiet presence of people who have chosen silence over contact. The forest holds their secrets with care, weaving them into its shadows. And so, beneath the endless canopy, where vines curl like question marks and rivers glisten like threads of silver, the story of humanity in the Amazon continues, not lost, not gone, but hidden, resilient, and deeply alive. The rainforest has always been a paradox, a place where life and death grow side by side in silence, where the greenest leaves can heal the body or end it, depending on how they are touched, prepared, or consumed. The plants that rise from the forest floor, climb into the understory, and stretch toward the canopy do more than simply create shade and provide oxygen. They are the keepers of ancient secrets, guardians of chemical arsenals, and partners in humanity's oldest struggles with illness, pain, and survival. For thousands of years, people living within and around the Amazon have looked to these plants as both allies and threats, crafting medicines and poisons from the same stems and leaves, learning through generations of trial, observation, and sometimes tragedy, which roots can be chewed for fever, which vines can be boiled to cure, and which fruits must never be touched. In this sense, the forest itself becomes a vast pharmacy, one that is alive, breathing, and endlessly experimenting. The immensity of this living library is difficult to comprehend. Scientists estimate that the Amazon holds tens of thousands of plant species, but only a fraction of them have been studied in detail. Every bend of a riverbank, every hidden clearing, could host plants that hold cures for diseases still untreatable. Yet alongside those same plants grow others, so potent they can paralyze or kill within minutes. It is this duality, the fine line between healing and harm, that has drawn explorers, healers, and modern researchers alike into the heart of the jungle. Some arrive with reverence, guided by local knowledge passed down through centuries. Others come with caution, knowing that a single misstep, a single taste of the wrong berry, or inhalation of the wrong spore could mean the end. Among the most famous of the forest's healing plants is the cinchona tree, whose bark yields quinine, a compound that once stood as one of humanity's greatest defenses against malaria. Though not native to the Amazon, it symbolizes the way indigenous knowledge of plants changed the course of global history. Deeper within the rainforest, Countless vines and shrubs serve similar roles. The cat's claw vine, for example, named for its hook-like thorns, is revered by many tribes for its ability to reduce inflammation and boost immunity. In local traditions, it is brewed into teas, a soothing antidote to fevers or joint pain. To Western medicine, it represents the beginning of a chemical map alkaloids and antioxidants hidden in its tissues that may one day become modern treatments. And yet, beside this healing presence, there lurk other plants whose alkaloids are dangerously toxic, reminders that the jungle gives with one hand and threatens with the other. One of the rainforest's most fascinating contributions to human understanding of plants is ayahuasca, a sacred brew created by combining two species, the Banisteriopsis caapi vine and the leaves of the chacruna plant. To many indigenous groups, this drink is not just medicine but a spiritual key, unlocking visions and opening pathways between worlds. It has been used for centuries in rituals of healing, self-discovery, and connection to ancestors. Scientists who studied the brew found that it contains powerful psychoactive compounds capable of altering consciousness. And today, ayahuasca has traveled far beyond the forest, embraced in circles of therapy and self-exploration worldwide. But while it can bring profound insight and emotional relief, it can also overwhelm and destabilize. The line between healing and harm is not just chemical, but deeply human, dependent on intention, setting, and respect for forces far older than science itself. Other plants conceal their power behind beauty. Orchids, with their delicate shapes and dazzling colors, might seem like ornaments, but some species produce compounds with antibacterial or antifungal qualities. The curare vine, once feared for its deadly potential, is another striking example. Indigenous hunters learned to extract its poison, applying it to arrow tips that could bring down monkeys, birds, or larger animals. Curare works by paralyzing the muscles, leaving prey immobilized while the hunter approaches. Yet, in a strange twist of fate, the very compound that once killed has been harnessed by modern medicine in controlled doses as a muscle relaxant during surgeries. The same plant that once inspired fear in the jungle became an essential partner in healing under bright operating lights. The duality extends further. The forest floor is scattered with plants whose leaves are harmless to the touch, yet lethal if ingested. Seeds the size of a fingernail may carry enough alkaloids to stop a heart. Fruits that glow in brilliant colors invite curiosity, yet their flesh hides bitterness and poison. Even the air carries risk spores from fungi, can lodge in the lungs, bringing fever and weakness that might spread silently through a body. To indigenous healers, or shamans, these dangers are not merely obstacles but lessons. Each toxic plant teaches respect, each dangerous compound offers a warning, and through centuries of observation, they have woven a map of the forest's dangers and gifts. Modern science has only just begun to follow that map. Laboratories around the world now test extracts from Amazonian plants for properties that could fight cancer, infection, or neurological disease. Some of the most promising compounds in pharmaceutical pipelines have their roots in rainforest flora. Yet for every plant studied, hundreds remain unknown, their secrets unrecorded, their healing or harmful properties locked within leaves and roots. And as the rainforest shrinks under the weight of deforestation and development, many of these plants may vanish before their potential is ever revealed. The urgency is clear. Protecting the forest is not only about preserving its beauty or its animals, but also about safeguarding a future of medicines not yet discovered. At night, when the air cools slightly and the hum of insects intensifies, the plants themselves seem to breathe differently. Some release fragrances meant to attract pollinators, sweet or musky scents that carry through the darkness. Others close their leaves, retreating into protective shapes. In these subtle rhythms lies another kind of healing, not chemical but spiritual. To those who walk beneath the canopy with open senses, the forest provides calm, perspective, and a reminder of the delicate balance between life and death, health and harm. Even without touching a single leaf, one can feel the weight of its presence, the quiet assurance that within this endless green lies both peril and salvation. The rainforest is not a place that gives up its secrets easily. Its medicines are hidden in bitter tastes, in roots that must be prepared just so, in vines that require companions to unlock their effects. Its poisons are equally elusive, cloaked in colors that dazzle or scents that deceive. What the plants of the Amazon teach us is humility, the recognition that nature is both more dangerous and more generous than we often realize. Healing and killing are not opposites here, but twin threads woven into the same leaf, reminders that survival has always depended on knowledge, respect, and balance. To walk among the plants of the Amazon is to step into a living paradox, where beauty conceals danger and where death encradle life. It is to recognize that our oldest remedies and our most terrifying poisons come from the same soil, fed by the same rains. And it is to understand that the forest does not divide its gifts neatly into categories. It simply exists, overflowing with possibilities. Some of those possibilities will save lives, others will take them, but all of them together tell the story of a world where every root and petal holds meaning. In the end, the plants that heal and kill remind us that nature itself is neither kind nor cruel, but powerful, and it is up to us to learn how to listen. Underneath the vast roof of the Amazon, where light filters down in shifting patterns of green and gold, silence is rarely silence at all. Even when the forest seems hushed, there is always movement, leaves trembling, branches bowing under the weight of something unseen, and the sudden flutter of wings cutting the heavy air. It is in these moments, when the sounds of frogs, insects, and birds seem to quiet for just a heartbeat, that the forest's most skilled hunters step into the stage. They are not the largest creatures here, nor the most numerous, but they are among the most feared. Jaguars, ocelots, and harpy eagles, each of them a master of stealth, a phantom woven into the green tapestry, moving through shadows with the precision of a whisper. To understand them is to understand not just survival, but the delicate balance of life and death that shapes the rainforest itself. The jaguar, the largest predator in South America, is the undisputed sovereign of the Amazon. It is a creature of myth and reverence, revered by countless indigenous cultures who saw in its rosetted coat the embodiment of night and power. Unlike the lion, who rules by dominance and pride, or the cheetah, who bursts with speed across open plains, the jaguar's power is in patience and silence. It does not rush. It waits. For hours it may prowl along a riverbank, padding silently through the mud with paws that fall as lightly as leaves. Its eyes, golden and piercing, scan the undergrowth. A peccary's grunt, the shuffle of a capybara, the faint splash of a fish-nothing escapes its notice. Then, when the time is right, when all the angles align, the jaguar pounces with a force that is as sudden as it is final. Unlike most big cats, which go for the throat, the jaguar bites through the skull, its jaw strength unmatched, crushing bone with frightening ease. In the stillness after, the forest seems to pause, as if in recognition of the predator's brutal efficiency. But jaguars do not hunt only on land. They are unique among big cats for their affinity with water. A river that would intimidate most predators is merely another hunting ground for them. They swim silently, slipping beneath the surface with only their ears and eyes exposed, stalking unsuspecting prey along the shallows. Even the mighty caiman is not beyond their reach. With an explosive burst, the jaguar will latch onto its prey, dragging it into the undergrowth, muscles rippling as water and mud spray in all directions. For a moment, chaos reigns, then silence returns, and the jaguar vanishes once more into the cover of vines and shadows, leaving nothing but ripples on the water. Smaller, but no less skilled, the ocelot prowls the understory with the grace of a dancer. Its coat, patterned in golden spots and stripes, seems designed not for beauty, though it is striking, but for vanishing into the dappled light beneath the canopy. The ocelot is patient, meticulous, often creeping after small mammals, birds or reptiles, its movements so precise they seem rehearsed. Unlike the jaguar, the ocelot rarely takes large prey. Instead, it thrives on agility and timing, pouncing at the slightest misstep from a rodent or lizard. The silence of its approach is unnerving. There is no warning, no snap of a twig, no rustle of leaves, only the sudden blur of fur and the sharp cry of an animal caught too late. The ocelot's stealth is rivaled only by its adaptability. It is a hunter of opportunity, as comfortable climbing trees as it is slinking across the forest floor. In the branches above, it waits for birds returning to their nests. On the ground, it stalks agoutis and armadillos, moving so fluidly that even the ever-watchful monkeys often miss its approach until it is too late. Yet, despite its prowess, the ocelot is more elusive than dangerous to humans. Indigenous peoples respected it, admired it even, but they did not fear it the way they did the jaguar. Still, in the tapestry of the rainforest, the ocelot's role is no less vital, keeping the smaller populations in check and weaving its part into the eternal cycle of predator and prey. High above them both, in the realm of light and wind, rules a hunter unlike any other, the harpy eagle. With wings that stretch wider than a grown man's arms, and talons longer than a grizzly bear's claws, the harpy is among the most powerful birds of prey in the world. Its presence is almost mythical. To see one is to see a feathered shadow gliding silently between the emergent trees, eyes locked on the world below. From this lofty vantage, the harpy surveys its kingdom, scanning for monkeys, sloths, and birds who make their homes in the canopy. When it strikes, it does so with terrifying speed and accuracy. A sloth, inching slowly along a branch, may seem safe in its camouflage until, in a sudden rush of wings, the harpy is upon it. Its talons clamp with crushing force, ending the struggle in an instant. Unlike the jaguar, which kills with power, or the ocelot, which relies on finesse, the harpy kills with precision. It is a surgeon of the sky, snatching life from the trees before it even has time to react. What makes it all the more extraordinary is the silence of its approach. Despite its size, the harpy's wings are built for maneuverability, allowing it to navigate through dense branches without a sound. It is the embodiment of death from above, unseen until it is far too late. Each of these hunters, in their own way, embodies the silence of the forest. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of anticipation, of tension stretched thin across every leaf and shadow. Without them, the balance would collapse. Prey species would multiply unchecked, and the intricate threads that hold the rainforest together would fray. Jaguars cull the strong and the weak alike, ensuring populations remain balanced. Ocelots keep the smaller creatures from overwhelming the forest floor. Harpy eagles regulate the canopy, taking creatures too comfortable in their leafy homes. Together, they form a triad of power, unseen but always present, shaping the very rhythm of life in the Amazon. For the people who have lived in this vast forest for centuries, these predators are more than just animals. They are spirits, symbols, guardians, and omens. The jaguar, revered in countless myths, was often seen as a bridge between the physical world and the spirit world, its nocturnal hunts symbolizing journeys into the unknown. The ocelot, smaller yet cunning, embodied stealth and adaptability. The harpy eagle, descending from the skies, was seen as a messenger of the gods, a feathered shadow that carried both fear and respect in equal measure. In truth, these hunters are not villains of the jungle. They are not the monsters of whispered tales, nor the nightmares lurking in the dark. They are the keepers of equilibrium, the silent regulators without which the Amazon would unravel. Their presence is not one of menace, but of necessity. When you walk beneath the canopy, when you hear the rustle of leaves above, or the faint splash along the riverbank, you are hearing more than just movement. You are hearing the rhythm of survival, the ancient beat that has pulsed through this forest for millennia. To glimpse a jaguar in the wild is to witness the embodiment of stealth, strength, and mystery. To see an ocelot slip through the understory is to marvel at the elegance of nature as design. To watch a harpy eagle swoop through the treetops is to feel the raw, breathtaking power of the sky itself. These are not encounters one forgets, for they leave behind a sense of awe and humility, reminder that beneath the endless green, beneath the songs of birds and the hum of insects, there are forces, moving silently, shaping everything we see and do not see. And so the Amazon remains a land not only of life, but of hunters who move like shadows, each step, each wingbeat, each silent prowl, an essential note in the great symphony of the forest. They are the unseen guardians, the phantoms of the canopy and floor, the silent hunters whose presence binds the living world together. Without them, the song would falter. With them, it endures, echoing endlessly beneath the green abyss. Beneath the towering trees and tangled vines of the Amazon, it is not the mighty jaguar or the soaring eagle that exerts the most influence, but the smallest of creatures, insects. Their numbers are so staggering that to walk through the forest is to be surrounded by trillions of them, hidden in the soil, inside the bark of trees, buzzing in the air, crawling across leaves, and even swimming in the water. They are everywhere, shaping the rainforest in ways that most of us never consider. Yet their presence is indispensable. Insects form the very backbone of the Amazon, an unseen army that tirelessly maintains the balance of life. Without them, the canopy would collapse under its own weight, rivers would choke with decay, and animals great and small would vanish, deprived of food, pollination, and the quiet services that insects provide. Ants alone demonstrate this power more than perhaps any other creature. To stumble upon a column of army ants is to witness raw collective energy at work. Thousands of tiny bodies surge forward like a liquid tide, overwhelming any small creature in their path. Crickets, beetles, spiders, none can escape the swarm once it has set its sights. Yet these same ants clear the forest floor of decay and excess, keeping the ecosystem healthy. Leaf-cutter ants, with their endless trails of workers carrying bright green fragments above their heads, perform one of the most remarkable acts of cultivation in nature. They do not eat the leaves themselves, but carry them underground, where the foliage is fed to a carefully tended fungus. This fungus is their true food source, cultivated with precision and care, a system of agriculture older than humanity's own. Each colony functions like a living city, with workers, soldiers, and even waste managers, all working in harmony. But ants are not the only rulers here. Beetles, with their armored shells and endless diversity, dominate the forest in sheer variety. Some bore into wood, hastening the decay of fallen trees so that nutrients may return to the soil. Others feed on dung, rolling it into neat spheres and burying it underground, where it not only nourishes their young, but also enriches the soil. In this way, beetles turn waste into fertility, ensuring that plants grow strong and abundant. Then there are the jewel-bright species, gleaming like living gemstones in flashes of metallic green, copper, and sapphire. They may look like ornaments of the canopy, but each plays a crucial role. Some are pollinators, some decomposers, others predators of smaller insects. Collectively, beetles form an invisible web of workers who never rest. Termites, too, are architects of the unseen world. Their mounds rise like miniature fortresses, often hidden at the bases of trees, and their tunnels lace beneath the soil in a vast underground network. To many, termites are destroyers, feeding on dead wood and plant matter, yet they are vital recyclers. By breaking down cellulose, they release nutrients that would otherwise be locked away, unavailable to the forest. Without termites, the Amazon would be littered with dry remains, choking the cycle of life. Their presence ensures that decay transforms into growth, that the forest floor, never stagnates. Pollinators are another silent force. Tiny stingless bees, butterflies, moths, and even flies all serve to carry pollen from flower to flower, maintaining the delicate reproduction of plants. Some flowers have evolved to open only at night, releasing a fragrance that lures specific moths with long tongues perfectly shaped to reach their nectar. Others bloom in bursts of color at dawn, waiting for bees to arrive in the first rays of sunlight. Without these insects, the rainforest's dazzling array of plants would dwindle, unable to reproduce. The fruits that monkeys, birds, and humans rely upon would disappear, leaving the forest hollow and starving. Mosquitoes, though often despised, are part of this intricate dance as well. They are food for bats, birds, and fish, their presence fueling the lives of countless predators. Dragonflies dart above the rivers, hunting them with unmatched precision, while swarms of fish snap them from the surface of the water. Even the most irritating creatures have their place, woven into the balance of existence. Then there are the butterflies, perhaps the most beloved of the Amazon's insects. Their wings, painted in vibrant shades of blue, orange, and black, seem to carry fragments of the sky itself. Some serve as pollinators, others as warnings, their bright patterns signaling to predators that they are toxic. Certain species mimic the colors of their poisonous cousins, gaining protection through illusion. The blue morpho butterfly, with wings like shimmering mirrors, reflects sunlight in dazzling flashes as it glides through the trees, vanishing as quickly as it appears. To watch one is to glimpse the fleeting beauty of the forest, a reminder that even the smallest creature can hold immense wonder. Cicadas, with their deafening songs, mark the passage of time in the jungle. Emerging in cycles, they fill the canopy with a wall of sound, an insect chorus that drowns out even the cries of birds and monkeys. Their songs are signals calls for mates, warnings of danger, and they are part of the jungle's voice. In the silence that follows their sudden stillness, one feels the weight of the forest, as if it too holds its breath. Insects are also masters of defense. Some wield poisons, like wasps with stingers sharp enough to drive away much larger predators. Others rely on disguise, blending seamlessly with leaves, bark, or moss until they are indistinguishable from their surroundings. Stick insects sway gently like twigs in the wind, while leaf insects mimic greenery so perfectly that even a careful eye may miss them. Predators pass them by, unaware of the life hiding in plain sight. The deeper one looks, the clearer it becomes that the Amazon belongs to insects. They pollinate its flowers, recycle its dead, build its soil, and feed its countless animals. They are the engineers, the laborers, the caretakers, ensuring that the cycle of life never halts. The great cats, the birds of prey, even the mighty river itself, all rely on the tireless efforts of creatures smaller than a fingernail. The Amazon is alive because insects keep it alive. At night, when the chorus of frogs begins and the larger predators stir, the insects are still there, buzzing, crawling, and working. Fireflies pulse with soft green light, flashing signals to one another in the darkness. Moths gather around flowers that bloom beneath the moon. Ants patrol their trails, soldiers guarding the workers as they continue their endless harvest. The forest does not sleep because the insects do not sleep. They are the heartbeat of the jungle, a constant presence that ties every living thing together. To walk in the Amazon is to walk upon their kingdom. Every step disturbs lives too small to see. Every breath carries the trace of their labor. Every sound is layered with their movement. They rule not through strength or size, but through sheer persistence and number, through the quiet, ceaseless work that sustains all else. The insects of the Amazon are its rulers, hidden yet omnipresent, their empire stretching from the canopy to the rivers, from the forest floor to the unseen world beneath the soil. Without them, the jungle would crumble, silent and empty. With them, it thrives loud, abundant, eternal. The rainforest, vast and alive, is more than just a green wilderness of trees, rivers, and creatures. It is a machine ancient and irreplaceable that keeps the Earth's climate in balance. To step into its humid expanse is to enter not only a sanctuary of biodiversity, but also the very lungs and thermostat of the planet. Its rhythm is subtle, but immense, a symphony of growth, decay, and renewal that extends its influence far beyond the jungle's tangled edges. The role of the rainforest in regulating climate cannot be overstated, for it is both a source of breath and a shield against the forces of imbalance. When one thinks of the rainforest, perhaps the first image is of endless trees and hidden animals. But in truth, it is also a system of gases, cycles, and energies that quietly sustain life on Earth. The rainforest acts as a vast carbon sink, drawing in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and locking it away in its wood, roots, and soil. Each tree is a silent sentinel, pulling carbon into its body and holding it there for decades or even centuries. Multiply this by billions, and the scale becomes staggering. The Amazon alone holds more carbon than nearly a decade's worth of human fossil fuel emissions. It is not merely a local storehouse, but a global buffer, keeping greenhouse gases in check. Every leaf that unfurls, every vine that creeps skyward, is part of this intricate system of absorption. And without it, the balance tips. The carbon cycle of the rainforest is relentless, with every breath of photosynthesis countered by the slow release of decay. But so long as the forest thrives, it takes in more than it gives back, tipping the scale towards stability. When rainforests are cut and burned, however, this equation reverses. What was once a shield becomes a source, spewing carbon into the sky and heating the Earth further. The rainforest's gift is not only in storing carbon, but in producing oxygen. It has often been called the lungs of the planet, and while that phrase oversimplifies the reality, since much of that oxygen is consumed again within the forest itself, the truth is still profound. A vast share of the breathable air that sustains humans and animals originates in the endless cycle of rainforest photosynthesis. During the day, as sunlight pours through the canopy, millions of leaves transform carbon dioxide into oxygen, feeding the atmosphere with every flicker of green. At night, the exchange continues in different ways, with respiration balancing the system, but the net effect remains that rainforests are engines of fresh air, working tirelessly without pause. Even beyond oxygen and carbon, the rainforest has a hand in shaping weather and climate. The trees themselves are fountains, drawing water from the soil and releasing it into the sky through transpiration. This constant exhalation of moisture forms clouds, which in turn create rain. The Amazon produces much of its own rainfall, recycling the water it receives and sending it back into the atmosphere in an endless loop. The air above it is thick with vapor, a moving sea that carries storms and rain far beyond its borders. In this way, the rainforest is a water pump, not only for itself, but for continents. Croplands thousands of miles away depend on this invisible river of moisture that drifts on winds and feeds fields, rivers, and cities. Remove the forest, and the pump falters, leaving dryness where there was once plenty. This role as a climate keeper extends to temperature. The dense canopy absorbs heat during the day and releases it slowly, buffering extremes. The forest floor, shaded and damp, remains cooler than the open land around it. On a planetary scale, this moderation of heat prevents surges of temperature that would otherwise ripple across the globe. Deforestation, by contrast, exposes soil and ground to the blazing sun, releasing stored heat into the atmosphere and raising temperatures further. The transformation of lush forest into barren land does not only change the landscape, it changes the climate itself. The balance of coolness and warmth, maintained for millennia, shifts toward instability. The biodiversity within the rainforest plays its part in climate regulation as well. Every organism, from the smallest fungus to the towering tree, is a node in the web of exchange. Leafcutter ants, in their tireless labor, recycle plant matter back into soil. Fungi decompose fallen wood, returning nutrients that allow the forest to regrow. Even the vast herds of insects, unseen and often unnoticed, are critical in keeping the cycle of decay and renewal flowing. Together, they ensure the forest remains alive, and as long as it is alive, it continues to act as a stabilizer of climate. Strip away the diversity, and the machine falters, slowing the processes that store carbon, recycle nutrients, and generate new growth. What is often forgotten is that the rainforest is not eternal. Its balance is delicate, held together by cycles that can be disrupted if too many links are broken. Fires, logging, mining, and agriculture eat away at its edges, fragmenting it into smaller pieces. As trees fall, carbon is released, rain diminishes, and the cycle weakens. Already, scientists warn that the Amazon may be nearing a tipping point where the loss of enough trees will shift it from a rainforest into a savanna. Should that happen, the consequences will ripple far beyond South America. Global warming would accelerate, weather patterns would shift unpredictably, and the stability we take for granted would waver. The forest is more than its boundaries. It is a global system, and its collapse would be a collapse shared by all. Yet, in its very existence, the rainforest offers hope. The same cycles that make it vulnerable also make it resilient if given the chance. Trees regrow, soils recover, species return, and balance can be restored. Indigenous peoples, who have lived within these forests for millennia, understand their rhythms in ways modern science is only beginning to grasp. For them, the forest is not a resource to be consumed, but a partner in survival, a living entity to be respected and maintained. Their knowledge of plants, animals, and cycles is a testament to the possibility of coexistence, and their presence is proof that human life can be entwined with the forest without destroying it. The role of the rainforest in regulating climate is not a matter of distant science, but of immediate survival. Every breath of clean air, every drink of fresh water, every stable season of planting and harvest is tied to its survival. It is not an isolated wilderness. It is the foundation beneath the lives of billions. In the whirring of insects, the drip of rain, the rustle of leaves, and the exhale of trees lies a system older than humanity, one that has carried us this far and could carry us further still. The forest does not speak, but its silence is a warning. Should we ignore its role, the climate we depend on may slip into chaos, and the earth itself may grow hostile. But if we listen, if we protect and restore, then the rainforest can continue as the keeper of balance, the shield against instability, and the silent ally of life. To walk through the rainforest is to walk within the heart of the planet's climate system. Its green walls are more than scenery. They are the machinery of survival. The air is thicker, fresher, charged with unseen cycles that bind together soil, water, and sky. The truth is that humanity's fate and the rainforest's fate are one and the same. The more it thrives, the more the planet remains stable. The more it falls, the more we stumble into danger. It is both fragile and immense, and in its branches rests the breath of the world. The rainforest is not only a sanctuary of life, but a covenant between the earth and its inhabitants, a reminder that climate and survival are not separate stories, but one. The Amazon rainforest, sprawling and enigmatic, has long existed as a realm largely untouched by human hands. Its dense canopy, intricate waterways, and layered ecosystems create a world so complex that even the most experienced scientists can barely scratch the surface of its secrets. Yet this hidden world is no longer entirely safe. Across its vast expanse, threats loom: deforestation, fires, illegal logging, and human encroachment are steadily reshaping the rainforest's rhythm. What was once a sanctuary of life is increasingly at risk, and every action, every tree felled or patch burned, reverberates through the delicate tapestry of species, cycles, and climate regulation that has persisted for millennia. The first, Most visible threat comes from deforestation. Large tracts of the forest are being cleared for agriculture, cattle ranching, and urban expansion. The green walls that once formed continuous corridors for animals and plants are fragmented into isolated patches. These gaps may seem small from the air, but to the countless species that rely on unbroken forest for movement, breeding, and feeding, they are catastrophic. Jaguars, harpy eagles, and primates can find themselves trapped in ever smaller pockets of habitat, forced to compete for dwindling resources or cross dangerous human-dominated landscapes. Seed-dispersing birds and mammals struggle to maintain the cycles that allow new trees to grow, slowing forest regeneration. As the canopy breaks, sunlight penetrates areas once shaded, altering the microclimate, drying out soils, and changing the balance of life below. Even subtle shifts in temperature and moisture can push delicate plants and amphibians beyond their survival thresholds. Fires, whether natural or human-caused, are another insidious threat. In the Amazon, fires were historically rare and usually small, contained by the forest's humidity and wet season rains. Today, they are increasingly common, fueled by slash-and-burn agriculture, careless campfires, and intentional clearing. Flames tear through the understory, consuming not just trees but the leaf litter, fungi, and tiny creatures that form the foundation of the forest floor. The heat and smoke can travel far beyond the burned area, disrupting air quality, altering rainfall patterns, and suffocating wildlife. Some trees, adapted to the humid environment, cannot survive even light fires, leaving barren patches vulnerable to erosion. Once the soil is scorched and nutrients lost, regrowth is slow, and invasive grasses or shrubs can take hold, permanently changing the ecosystem's character. Human encroachment extends beyond direct destruction. Roads, pipelines, and settlements carve paths into once remote areas, bringing noise, light, and pollution into zones that previously existed in near-complete darkness. Species sensitive to disturbance may abandon their homes, while others, like opportunistic predators or disease-carrying animals, may flourish unnaturally, unbalancing food chains. Even minimal human presence can introduce pathogens or chemicals that ripple through fragile systems. Every camp or logging site becomes a potential vector for change, whether through waste, hunting, or inadvertent spread of invasive plants. For the hidden creatures of the canopy and forest floor, these intrusions are often fatal. Deforestation and fires are intimately linked to the larger climate. Trees that once drew carbon from the air, stabilized soils, and recycled water are lost, releasing greenhouse gases and reducing rainfall, both locally and in distant regions. This creates a feedback loop. Less rainfall dries the forest, making it more vulnerable to fire, and fires release more carbon, further warming the planet. The microclimates that countless species rely on cool, humid air near the forest floor, stable temperatures within the canopy. Predictable wet seasons begin to unravel. The forest's resilience, honed over millennia, is stressed beyond its natural limits. Many species face a silent, creeping threat in addition to habitat loss: the breakdown of ecological relationships. Fruit-bearing trees rely on animals to disperse seeds. Pollination networks depend on insects, birds, and bats moving across distances. When any link is removed, through hunting, habitat fragmentation, or local extinction, the whole chain suffers. Trees fail to reproduce, plants fail to flourish, and animals lose their food sources. The rainforest, once a self-sustaining cycle of birth, growth, and decay, becomes fragile and uneven. Fire and deforestation also threaten indigenous peoples who have lived within the Amazon for generations. Their knowledge of medicinal plants, hunting techniques, and forest management is not just cultural heritage. It is a critical part of sustaining the forest. Loss of habitat, roads that invite exploitation, and violent conflicts over land rights put these communities in peril. When the people who understand the forest intimately are displaced, a repository of knowledge essential for its survival diminishes. Practices that maintained balance, like selective harvesting and controlled burns, are replaced by unsustainable methods, further degrading the ecosystem. The hidden waterways of the Amazon are equally vulnerable. Rivers and tributaries, once pristine conduits of life, are disrupted by sedimentation from deforested slopes, chemical runoff from agriculture, and dams that block natural flows. Aquatic species from giant catfish to tiny insect larvae suffer in these altered waters. Flooding patterns that once nourished the forest floor become unpredictable, affecting plants that rely on seasonal inundation. The water cycle, intimately connected with the forest's carbon and oxygen balance, falters. In effect, the threats from the ground to the treetops cascade into the rivers, making each element of the forest a part of the larger crisis. Climate change exacerbates these pressures. Rising global temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns strain the rainforest's ability to self-regulate. Drier conditions make trees more susceptible to fire. Unpredictable rains hinder reproduction and nutrient cycles. Many species, already at the edge of their tolerance, struggle to adapt. Some animals may migrate, but with fragmented forests and human encroachment, corridors are blocked, leaving populations trapped. The interplay of heat, drought, fire, and deforestation creates a perfect storm of vulnerability that was previously unimaginable. The scale of these threats is staggering, yet their effects are often invisible to the casual observer. From above, the forest might appear continuous, a sea of green unbroken by human hands. Yet beneath the canopy, ecosystems are fragmenting, species interactions are collapsing, and the rhythms of life that have persisted for thousands of years are under siege. It is a slow, creeping destruction, one tree, one patch, one road at a time. Its invisibility to most makes it all the more dangerous. By the time the damage is obvious, the changes are often irreversible. Yet hope exists, grounded in awareness and action. Conservation efforts, protected reserves, and sustainable practices can mitigate these threats. Reforestation, responsible agriculture, and the support of indigenous land rights maintain both human livelihoods and ecological balance. Scientists are mapping biodiversity, identifying keystone species, and developing strategies to help the forest recover where it has been damaged. Every tree planted, every area left undisturbed, contributes to preserving the hidden world beneath the canopy. Even small changes in human behavior can ripple through the forest in meaningful ways. Sustainable timber practices, reduced deforestation, and minimal encroachment help maintain the forest's structure and microclimate. Educating communities about the importance of the rainforest, ecological role, ensures that economic development does not come at the cost of life-sustaining systems. Every effort to protect the forest preserves the air, water, and biodiversity essential, not only to the Amazon itself, but to the planet as a whole. The Amazon's hidden world is resilient, but not invincible. Its threats are multifaceted, acting simultaneously above and below, near and far, immediately and over decades. Understanding these dangers is not only an academic exercise, it is a matter of survival. The forest's future, and by extension ours, depends on the choices made today. Preservation is not a luxury. It is a necessity. The rainforest has existed through countless natural challenges, but the rapid, human-driven pressures it now faces are unprecedented. Its response will shape the environment, the climate, and the ecosystems of the entire globe. Every fallen tree, every burned hectare, every intrusion into its hidden depths is a reminder that the rainforest's balance is fragile. Yet each protective measure, each area conserved, each respectful approach to human activity demonstrates the power of resilience and stewardship. The Amazon's mysteries, its uncharted layers of life, and its silent machinery of climate and ecosystem regulation are worth safeguarding. They remind us that even the most hidden corners of the earth are interconnected with our survival. To protect the forest is to protect the air we breathe, the rains that nourish crops, and the balance of life that sustains the planet. The threats are real, the consequences profound, and the hidden world beneath the canopy fragile. But with awareness, action, and respect, it can endure. Its survival depends not just on those who live near it, but on humanity as a whole. Each of us has a role, however small, in preserving the ancient, intricate, and irreplaceable life that thrives beneath the Amazon's green roof. The forest may hide its secrets from our eyes, but its needs and its warnings are clear to those who look closely, listen deeply, and choose to protect it. Beneath the dense emerald canopy of the Amazon rainforest, countless secrets remain hidden from human eyes, secrets that have endured for centuries, and in some cases, millennia. The vastness of this jungle is such that even the most intrepid explorers, equipped with the latest technology and guided by the most experienced local knowledge, cannot fully grasp its breadth or depth. Each step deeper into the forest seems to reveal not a conclusion, but another layer of mystery, another corridor of life where unseen creatures move and ancient processes unfold. The rainforest is alive in ways that defy comprehension. A breathing organism, a complex system of interwoven life, and a vault of secrets that seem almost conscious in their refusal to be fully understood. From the forest floor to the emergent giants towering above, the Amazon hums with a hidden rhythm. Beneath rotting leaves, soil teems with life, decaying matter feeding networks of fungi, insects, and microfauna. Each tiny organism plays a role in sustaining the vast trees that dominate the canopy, whose roots sink deep into nutrient-rich earth to draw water and minerals. The interdependence of these systems is a secret unto itself. Remove one element, and subtle but far-reaching effects ripple outward. The rainforest's balance is delicate, maintained through cycles that humans have only begun to understand. There is a lesson in this hidden machinery. Patience, observation, and respect are required to glimpse its secrets. Yet even then, the full picture remains elusive. Even the most studied species hold surprises. Scientists have documented countless examples of behavior that confound expectations. Birds that mimic sounds to lure prey, ants that farm fungi while defending their territory with lethal efficiency, and nocturnal predators that vanish into the shadows at will all demonstrate the rainforest's ingenuity. For every discovery, there are countless phenomena unobserved. Adaptations perfected over generations in response to pressures that may never be fully replicated or understood outside their natural context. In the undergrowth, a frog's mating call may indicate a complex network of chemical communication. In the canopy, a monkey's swing might conceal intricate social hierarchies and alliances. The rainforest is an archive of life's solutions to survival, written in forms and patterns that humans are only beginning to decode. The endurance of these secrets is as much a product of scale as it is of isolation. The Amazon stretches over millions of square kilometers, much of it inaccessible even to the most determined humans. Rivers twist like serpents, creating natural barriers that separate populations of plants and animals, allowing unique species to evolve independently. This isolation has created an ecological diversity so rich that entire new species are discovered with surprising regularity, even in the 21st century. What remains hidden is not merely due to the inaccessibility of the terrain, but to the rainforest's very design. A labyrinth of life where each species, each plant, and each microhabitat has its role often invisible to those who pass through. Among the most enduring mysteries are the interactions humans have had with the forest. Indigenous tribes, some isolated for centuries, possess knowledge of flora, fauna, and survival techniques that outsiders cannot replicate. They know which plants heal, which sting, which attract animals, and which repel them. Yet even these experienced guardians of the forest speak of spirits, omens, and forces that are beyond ordinary understanding. acknowledging layers of life and consciousness that defy explanation. The secrets of the Amazon are therefore not just biological, they are cultural, spiritual, and historical, embedded in human stories as much as in the soil and trees. Even modern technology has limits. Satellites can map treetops, drones can peer into emergent layers, and genetic analysis can reveal the hidden diversity of microorganisms. Yet none of these tools can fully capture the complexity of the rainforest's interactions. The subtleties of sound, scent, and movement, the rustle of leaves that signals a predator, the vibration of insects communicating underground, the silent flight of an owl above the canopy cannot be fully translated into data points. The rainforest's secrets endure because they are lived experiences, temporal and spatial phenomena that exist in real time, often too fleeting or delicate to be recorded. Water, the lifeblood of the forest, holds its own hidden world. Rivers wind and split, forming channels and oxbows that change course over decades. Flooded forests transform into aquatic mazes where fish, amphibians, and reptiles navigate submerged trees, feeding, breeding, and sheltering in rhythms dictated by water levels and seasons. Entire species of plants exist only in these temporary wetlands, emerging with the flood and retreating as waters drop. Each rise and fall of the river is a secret cycle of life, an ongoing story that humans can witness, but never fully control or predict. Predators, often invisible, govern the ecosystem quietly and efficiently. Jaguars prowl with silent precision, controlling populations of herbivores and smaller carnivores. Snakes and spiders, unseen yet ever present, regulate insect populations and contribute to nutrient cycling. Even the smallest predator can have an outsized effect. The forest's balance is maintained by a web of interactions, too intricate for human comprehension, a system that can collapse if any key element is removed. These invisible players, and their unknown strategies, add to the rainforest's enduring aura of mystery. The plant world itself is a repository of secrets. Many trees, shrubs, and vines have chemical defenses unknown to science, protecting themselves against insects, fungi, and larger herbivores. Some produce medicinal compounds only discovered centuries later. Others contain toxins that are still lethal to modern humans. The rainforest is a library of evolutionary experiments, each plant an entry in an encyclopedia of survival strategies. Yet despite centuries of study, the majority of species have not been fully cataloged, and their potential uses or dangers remain hidden. Every leaf, root, and flower could reveal something new to those patient enough to study them. Even the night brings a unique layer of secrets. As darkness falls, nocturnal creatures emerge, unseen by those who traverse the forest during the day. Owls, bats, nocturnal frogs, and countless insects take over the forest, shifting the dynamics of predation, pollination, and communication. The sounds of the jungle at night are layered and complex, a symphony of calls, rustles, and movements that can both soothe and alarm. Observing the forest in daylight provides only a fraction of the story. The secrets that awaken with night are equally vital to understanding the rainforest's cycles of life. Human threats, while significant, cannot entirely erase the endurance of these mysteries. Even in areas impacted by logging, fire, or encroachment, life persists in pockets, adapting to new conditions or retreating to untouched zones. Some species disappear, but others thrive in the altered environment, revealing resilience and flexibility that continue to astonish scientists. The Amazon's capacity for regeneration is itself a secret of endurance, showing that even in the face of disruption, the forest holds mechanisms to recover and surprise those who study it. Archaeology also contributes to the forest's aura of secrecy. Hidden mounds, ancient roads, and remnants of long-forgotten settlements lie buried beneath the soil or camouflaged by vegetation. Some ruins indicate complex civilizations once deeply integrated with the forest's rhythms, cultivating plants, shaping waterways, and possibly understanding aspects of the ecosystem that modern science is only beginning to grasp. These remnants show that the rainforest has been both a home and a puzzle for humans across centuries, its secrets extending into cultural and historical dimensions. The enduring mysteries of the Amazon are as much about timing as they are about space. Seasonal cycles, migrations, and reproductive strategies are intricately coordinated with subtle cues in light, temperature, and moisture. A researcher might witness one phenomenon one year, only to return and find it altered or absent. The forest is a dynamic, living puzzle, constantly changing and responding to forces beyond human control. Patience, attention to detail, and humility are required to appreciate even a fraction of its secrets. Ultimately, the Amazon rainforest teaches that some mysteries are meant to endure. Its complexity cannot be reduced to simple patterns or predictions. Every discovery leads to more questions, and every observation hints at deeper, unseen processes. Its life is woven from countless interactions across time and space, creating a reality that is both astonishingly beautiful and profoundly elusive. The forest remains a place where curiosity meets its limits, where the known and unknown coexist in a delicate balance, and where the act of observation is itself a reminder of human humility. As explorers, scientists, and dreamers continue to venture into this green abyss, they are reminded that the Amazon is not a puzzle to be solved, but a story to be witnessed. Its secrets endure because they are part of a system older and more intricate than humanity can fully comprehend. The rainforest is alive, responsive, and resilient. It holds lessons in patience, interconnectedness, and respect for life in all its forms. Those who enter its depths may leave with questions unanswered, but the experience instills a deep appreciation for the enduring mysteries of our planet. The Amazon's hidden world remains an endless source of fascination and wonder, a reminder that despite human ambition and curiosity, there are realms of life where time moves differently, where secrets are kept not out of malice, but as part of the delicate rhythm of survival. Its endurance is a testament to the complexity of nature, and its mysteries serve as both a challenge and an invitation to observe, to learn, and to protect. In this way, the Amazon teaches that some of the most valuable truths are not revealed in haste, but in quiet observation, patience, and reverence for the living, breathing world around us. The rainforest endures its secrets intact, awaiting the next generation of observers, explorers, and guardians to witness, respect, and preserve the incredible life beneath its canopy, understanding that some mysteries are meant not to be solved, but to inspire awe and caution in equal measure.